Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, where today we're diving into one of the hottest One Piece inspired games on Roblox, Verse Peace. If you've ever wondered which fruits will help you dominate the seas, crush your enemies, and make grinding a breeze, you're in the right place. Fruits in Verse Peace aren't just your average power-ups, they're the key to leveling up faster, tackling endgame challenges, and of course, destroying the competition in PvP. Trust me, picking the right fruit can be the difference between being a pirate king or just a guy with a boat. In this video, we're breaking down the ultimate Verse Peace fruit tier list to help you figure out which ones are worth your time and which ones are better left at the bottom of the ocean. From devastating offensive abilities to game-changing support skills, we'll cover it all. So grab your crew, set sail, and let's uncover which fruits are absolute must-haves for your journey to greatness. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss this. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking fruits in Verse Peace. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of tier list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
A very small portion of the audience is subscribed to the channel. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like these types of videos. Thanks.
The fruits in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, invisible. Alright, let's talk about one of the quirkiest fruits in Verse Peace. Invisible. I mean, who hasn't dreamed of turning invisible at some point, right? Whether it's sneaking past enemies or pulling off the ultimate surprise attack, this fruit sounds like a total game changer. But is it really? Well, let's break it down. So here's the deal. The invisible fruit does exactly what it says on the tin. You press Z and boom, you vanish into thin air. The kicker? Your invisibility doesn't break when you attack or use skills. In PvP, this can be super satisfying, sneaking up on an opponent and watching them spin in circles, trying to figure out where the damage is coming from. But outside of that sneaky PvP edge, it's kind of just a party trick. Unfortunately, in PvE, it's as useful as a chocolate sword. Most enemies don't care if you're invisible. They're still coming for you. Honestly, it's one of those fruits that sounds cooler than it actually is. If you're into trolling other players and having a laugh, sure, go for it. But if you're looking for something to help you grind or dominate bosses, you might want to save your belly for something a little more practical. Still, it's great for some mischief. And hey, isn't that what being a pirate is all about? The fruits in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Bomb, Dark, and Quake. Alright, let's talk about some B-tier fruits in Verse Peace. These are fruits that are solid for mid-game grinding, but don't quite make the cut for end-game fights. You're not going to be destroying entire servers with these, but if you're looking for a reliable, fun, and somewhat easy time, these fruits will definitely help you get the job done. First up, we've got Bomb. Now, if you're just starting out, this fruit is pretty much your best friend. It's so easy to get, and you can use it to grind for hours without worrying too much. Bomb has 2 damaging skills and an auto attack that deal massive area of effect damage, so you can focus all your stat points on special and defense, which makes life a lot easier. The only downside, well, it doesn't have any crowd control, so don't expect to lock down your enemies for long. Still, if you're just after some basic damage and AoE fun, Bomb's got your back. Next on the list is Dark. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dark sounds cool, but is it really that good? And honestly, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Dark has some of the largest AoE in the game, so you'll be clearing mobs in no time. Plus, it has decent CC with its pull, which groups enemies together, making it easier to land your next big attack. But, and this is a big but, Dark is missing a movement skill and an auto attack. So, if you're trying to dash around and spam attacks, you'll be a bit slow on your feet. Still, it's a great choice for grinding mobs in the mid-game, and the big AoE makes it pretty fun to use. Then there's Quake, another fruit that's got a lot going for it, but it's not exactly blowing anyone away. Similar to Dark, Quake lacks any movement skills or a custom M1, but it does have some better damage and AoE. So, you're still dealing a ton of damage, just not with the speed or mobility of the top tier fruits. Quake also has a knock-up effect on its C skill, which is the only real CC in its kit. It's not the most exciting CC, but hey, it works. So, if you're not worried about being super mobile and you just want to smash some enemies into the ground, Quake is a solid option. Let's break down the skills a bit. Bomb's got Boom, which creates a basic explosion. Nothing too special here, but it gets the job done. Then there's Bigger Boom, which is just like Boom, but bigger. Simple, right? Sometimes bigger really is better. When you're just out there smashing and grinding, this combo of explosions is pretty satisfying. As for Dark, it starts with Dark Hole, where you summon a small black hole. It's a great way to suck up enemies and get them into one spot. Then you've got Black Fountain, which creates a giant pillar of darkness that shoots up from the ground. Pretty intimidating, right? And of course, Black Hole is exactly what it sounds like, a massive black hole that pulls everything in. It's a perfect CC tool if you need to group enemies together for a big attack. Finally, let's look at Quake's moves. Quake Punch is your standard punch, not much to say here. Quake Smash brings down a huge smash onto the ground that deals damage in a wide area. It's effective, but nothing groundbreaking. Then there's Quake Erupt, where green lights expand outward from you and hit your opponents. It's a decent CC, but it's more about damage than crowd control. So there you have it. Bomb, Dark, and Quake. They're not the flashiest fruits out there, but they've got what it takes to help you get through the game. If you're after something that's solid, reliable, and won't break the bank, these fruits are definitely worth considering. Just keep in mind that if you're looking for top tier performance, you might want to keep grinding until you can get your hands on something a little more explosive. The fruits in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Flame Cyan and Flame. Alright, let's talk about two fruits in Verse Piece that pack quite a punch, Flame and Flame Cyan. These fruits are great, but there are some key differences that can really change how you play. If you're into pure damage, then Flame Cyan might just be your go-to. This fruit doesn't mess around when it comes to raw power. It has the highest damage output of any fruit in the game, and to top it off, the mobility is on another level. Whether you're zooming across the map or dodging attacks, Flame Cyan gives you the speed you need to stay ahead of the game. But here's the thing, it lacks the crowd control and custom M1 moves that fruits like Light and Light Dark bring to the table. So you'll need to pair this one with a combat style or a weapon to really maximize its potential. Now, let's take a look at the original Flame fruit. This one is a little more basic, but still holds its own. Flame doesn't have the luxury of a built-in auto attack, which means you'll have to rely on a weapon or combat style to make the most of it. It's pretty much the same as Flame Cyan in terms of moveset, but with slightly less damage. The good news, it's easy to get your hands on early in the game, so if you're just starting out, Flame is a solid pick to get you going while you level up and work your way to better fruits. What I really like about Flame though, is that it's a great fruit for beginners. If you're not too concerned about having the absolute best damage right out of the gate, then Flame is a reliable option. It's easy to find and helps you build up your skills as you get the hang of the game. Plus, it's a good backup if you're running her a combat style or weapon, giving you that extra edge when you need it. But if you're someone who's all about going big or going home, Flame Cyan is where you should be looking. It has that extra flair, the damage and the speed that can really change the tide of battle in your favor. It might not have the CC or the flashy M1 that other fruits have, but trust me, it more than makes up for it with sheer force. So whether you're just starting out with Flame or aiming for the powerhouse that is Flame Cyan, both fruits will serve you well. Just know which one suits your playstyle the best. The fruits in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Light Dark and Light. Alright guys, let's talk about one of the absolute game changers in Verse Piece, Light Dark fruit. Now I know what you're thinking, how can it be light and dark at the same time? And to be honest, that's a great question, but trust me, when you get your hands on this fruit, you'll quickly forget all about that tiny detail. Light Dark is the full package. Think of it like the Swiss Army knife of fruits. First off, it's got this insane auto attack that not only deals decent damage, but also hits with precision. The best part, it's got mobility out the wazoo. You can fly between islands, making it a breeze to chase down enemies or escape tricky situations. Oh, and did I mention it can close gaps like a pro? Enemies won't even know what hit them. But here's where Light Dark really shines, the AoE damage. I'm talking massive area attacks that not only deal damage, but stun your enemies as well. That's right, you can just stand there and dish out damage while your opponents are helplessly frozen in place. Free DPS? Oh, absolutely. It's like the fruit's just OP enough to make you feel like a superhero. Now, you might be thinking, but what about Light Fruit? Doesn't it do the same thing? And you're right, Light Fruit does share the same moveset, but here's the twist, it's just not as punchy as Light Dark. If you're looking for a fruit that's a bit more accessible, Light is the way to go. It may not hit as hard as its Dark counterpart, but it's still a fantastic option for mid to late game, especially if you're looking to build up defense and special stats without worrying too much about damage. Speaking of Light's abilities, let's break them down. Light Swipe is a quick circle of yellow light that slashes through enemies, simple but effective. Then there's Light Flurry, which unleashes multiple hits of light in every direction. If you're surrounded, this is your go-to. Light Shower takes things up a notch by raining down shards of light all over the place, causing chaos in the best way possible. And for mobility, Light Flight lets you shoot a blinding beam of light, instantly disorienting your enemies while you soar through the air. Seriously, Who wouldn't want to fly around like that? At the end of the day, both light and light dark fruit are top tier choices, but it all comes down to what you're looking for. If you want raw power and the ability to completely dominate in both mobility and damage, light dark's your pick. But if you're after something a little more balanced, something that's easy to acquire and still packs a punch, then light fruit is where it's at. Either way, you can't go wrong. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.